Hey guys, welcome to my podcast. It is a brand new episode, it is a brand new day, and it is back to basics. Just me and the mic, unloading my mind, and we are going to decode this matrix. I did kind of enjoy my Zoom interview phase, interviewing people, picking their brains. I think each guest had a different level of insight and story to bring to the table, and they were all very interesting. I highly recommend you go listen to any one of those episodes and just dive into some people's minds with me. But now it is back to basics. It's me and the mic, and I think the next series of interviews will be in 2021, maybe over Zoom, maybe in person, but you're just gonna have to wait it out to find out. Now that is back to us, I think it is time for me to unload the burdens of my heart, which is normally what I do anyway on my podcast. I literally just, okay, first of all, I'm a very introspective person. I think and 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 I introspect and I introspect. And I'm just such a philosopher at heart. I philosophize a lot, and I'm just like, I should have probably done philosophy in school. Honestly speaking, this is just to where my mind and my being lies. I mean, okay, let's just go into the past few days. So I'm recording this the day before it goes live, so the 15th of December. We just went past the 12/12 portal, and yesterday was a new moon, and it was a new moon eclipse at that. When I tell you my energy was on a rampage. So I think it all started on Thursday, where I got this wave of extreme emotions. Wait, quick side note. There are frogs and crickets singing their lives away in the background. So if you can hear that, I am so sorry, but there's nothing I can do about Mother Nature. But anyway, back to the weekend. I have been doing so well. Like, I haven't been too anxious or too depressed, or I haven't been feeling really low emotions. I've been really high vibrational, extremely focused and rooted in gratitude, like especially over my birthday. That is one of the main things that I experienced throughout that whole week was gratitude. I was just there like, I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my experiences. I'm so grateful for what I have, and I'm just grateful that I'm in this new chapter in my life. I'm able to see things differently. I'm able to perceive the world differently, and I'm so rooted in the present moment and the power of now, and I understand that, and I'm experiencing that. In fact, I was thinking back, I was like saying this to someone the other day, that like literally me, like let's say mid 2018 and below, let's say from mid 2018 to about 2012. Yeah. I would look at myself now and be shocked. Like, I had reached a point in my life where I never thought I could possibly be happy again. And I think from about 2016 or 2015 to 2017, going into mid 2018, that came to a peak. It was like the climax in the film, and I had reached the point where I just saw no hope. I was so desperate to find an out, and the only thing that kept me alive really was music, and the thought that I couldn't do that to my mom. That is honestly the only thing that kept me from jumping over the edge. And I mean, growing up Christian had some point in that, and the idea of hell in my head, I was just like, right now I feel like I'm living in hell every day because of what I feel. And in my mind, I'm like, if I kill myself and I go to a place that is worse than how I feel, surely it will be, I don't want to do that. But I had reached a point in my life where that line was getting blurry and things had started getting scary. But I should put a trigger warning at the beginning of this podcast. But now that I'm out of that space, I look back and I'm like, yo, I got out of it. Like, I've been so grateful lately, and I'm like, I worked my butt off and I got out of it. Like, I can't tell you guys how crazy that is, how much of a miracle that is. And to the people listening to this who feel like so desperate and they're in despair and they're depressed, and when I was in that space and someone said that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it does get better and you won't have to live like this every day, I would kind of get irritated because it's like, you don't know what I'm going through, you don't know what it feels like, you don't know. And I'm sitting there on the other side like, I know, like, to this day, I don't understand how I live like that every single day. Like, when I get glimpses here and there of pain, of like hurt, heartache, sadness, depression, that doesn't even amount to that level that I once experienced. When I get that and I put myself back in that space and I'm like, how did I live like that for days and weeks and months on end? Like, it baffles me today, and I think back to that girl and I'm like, wow, you're such a badass. You're one of the strongest people that I know. That girl back then who endured that, like my younger self, is one of the strongest people I know, and I take my hat off to her, because if it wasn't for her strength, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And I think a lot of people need to give themselves credit. Like, I don't see time as linear. I send blessings to my past self all the time because I feel like it all works in a circuit. If I can send energy forward, I can send it back. So I think a lot of what got me through was the energy I sent myself now from present. So I live like in a past, present, future mentality, and that way I live 3 lives simultaneously. A lot of the time I'll get little presents from me in the past, like business model here, a saved document here, a mood board there, that literally translates into the present, which leads me into what I wanted to talk about today, like the power of now. Being present, you guys, is just so, it changes your entire life, because a lot of the time anxiety stems from freaking out about decisions made in the past or what happened in the past and the uncertainty of the future. When you root yourself into the present moment, that anxiousness kind of dissipates from yourself, which is why meditation is so key, and things like yoga center and ground you, because you're forced to focus on the present moment. Thinking about the future and the past can really get to you, which goes into this weekend. Like I was saying, like, I hadn't been feeling heavy in a while, and then I think on Thursday I don't know if I got triggered or I was just in a space and I was just like in my mind and going down a spiral. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, yo, like, I'm an independent artist. I'm a content creator. I'm an artist. I'm doing all of these things that are so unconventional that, like, what people don't understand is I don't have to do this. Like, there is another path that I could have taken that I forwent, that I chose to forego, that honestly would have been so lucrative, would have given me such a comfortable life. But even in that aspect, I couldn't live like that. I'm not that type of person. I mean, I've had jobs before, and in the beginning I will be so motivated and haha, it's great, but eventually I'll start getting depressed, because I'm the type of person who needs to be reminded of their why every day. Why am I doing this? And my why is so grounded and rooted in my spirit and is so big that when things don't align with it, I just can't subscribe to that type of life. And even though I'm choosing music, like, I edit my music videos, I edit this podcast, I make this music, I'm doing all of these things, and currently they don't pay me. Given Yes Art, I manifested my first art commission recently, by the way, guys. I know, like, it's been a while since I've sat down and I've spoken to my podcast, but I manifested it in the craziest way. I think the day before, I don't know, I think it was a new moon or something, and I was writing down my manifestations and what I wanted in my life. And I was like, I need to start making money for art because I want to make money for my music video, which we will touch on moving forward. But I needed to make money from it. So I think I put a video on my Instagram of art, and the next thing you know, the very next day from the time that I put out my projected, I got a message talking about can you do a piece of art for me? And I did, and I manifested it the next day, because I have this thing, I'll speak about something and then I'll see it. I'll say a word and it'll happen. And the universe, God, the divine, kept on trying to show me that, yo, you're manifesting the small things, and I'll be deliberate with your manifestations. And it's the audacity to ask for the big things, and it's the audacity to stand in your truth. Like a lot of these things that I've been doing for like years now, I'm doing without any lucrative results. Why? Because it's connected to passion. And that can make me get out of my bed every single day, because I understand the why and I understand why I'm doing it. Even when certain things were linked to income, I just couldn't get myself to do it every day. Why? Because I couldn't see the why, and my passion wasn't in it. I have such a save the world complex. I literally feel like I'm living every superhero movie that I've watched. Like, I watched Moana and thought that I saw cryptid codes and I was watching my life movie type thing. I'm just that type of person. And I feel as though if I'm not serving my purpose and what I feel like is my divine mission, I'm literally like, I feel like I'm not only wasting my life, which is the wrong way to put it, but I feel like I'm letting people down. I truly want to help people, and I have this thing like I really want to save the world, 1111, as I said that. But I really want to do it. And when I'm not, I think of all the people that I'm letting down. So on Thursday, I think it was just the overwhelmingness of like doing music and art and everything. Because when I chose this path, it's funny when people say like, oh, like when you start a business or you do what you do, like you'll see your circle get smaller. But it did happen in my life for sure. And I think like there was a time where like, if we want to use it in colloquial terms, like my clout level was so much higher that if I was releasing music and I was doing all this stuff, I would have had a different level of support and impact and traction. But now where I am, I'm just like, it's just everything happens for a reason. And like I have this humility and life experience that I got from the last few years was like divinely guided, so that when things come into my sphere and when I finally start getting traction and the success that I know is coming, I am going to receive it differently, and I'm going to be more true to myself. I feel like we need to remind ourselves as people of our mission statements every day. Like when a company makes its mission statements, it's like 3 or 5 words that represent you as a brand, as a company. And then when you make a mission statement for yourself, it's like what represents you as a person. And I feel like especially in 2020, like for this year, I'm going to write down my mission statement so I remember it every day. Sometimes we know it in our hearts, but because we don't remind ourselves of it every day, we can just backpedal on it. We can just compromise on our ethical values. And I feel like at the top of my mission statement is integrity, and on my mission statement too is service, among other things. And I have to remind myself of that all the time. Like, no one's perfect. I'm not going to sit here and be like, my whole life has just been an example of an integral person. Like, my integrity was at an all-time high. No, there are times that I compromised on it. There are times that I let myself down. There are times where I looked at my life and I was just like, what I've done. Like, when I was at my worst, I thought I wasn't good enough for God anymore. I couldn't go to church. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And literally, like, I may tell people, like, what I feel like is the worst. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, you need to get over yourself. It's not that deep. But to me, it was because I value certain things highly. Like, I really value them. And it's like, that meant a lot to me. And to go back on my morals or what I believe to be true and correct is just not right. And now, like this weekend, when I had to go through the motions and I couldn't sleep, and I was just, I think like on Saturday, I drove to my friend's house. As I was leaving my house, like the pit of my stomach dropped and I just felt really anxious. I'm like, is this a sign not to leave my house? Is this a sign to stay indoors? But I kept on going. On the way there, I bawled my eyes out. I was just crying. I was like, I just broke and I was just having a mini little breakdown. Come to find out, I watched a energy reading that night, and it's like, oh, these are the symptoms of the 12-12 portal and the eclipse. We're purging all of these things are coming to the surface, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm giving myself grace to feel. Sometimes I'd get down on myself because I'm like, why are you feeling? Why are you doing? Can't you be strong? But it's like, even when we grow as people, even when we are more enlightened, even when we have reached a phase or a stage in our personal growth journeys that we think like we are at an elevated level of consciousness, you will have your down days. Life is all about balance. The reason why we raise our vibrations is because the higher you vibrate, the less likely lower frequency things can latch onto you. So things like depression and anxiety and energies like that vibrate on a lower frequency can't latch on and stay on. So I will still get sad. I may still get depressed. I may still get anxious, but it can't latch and stay on like it did before. I would be depressed and it would last for 6 months. Now I'll be sad and it will last for a few days, and I'll be able to pick myself out of that, look at that emotion, what it was trying to teach me, what it was trying to purge, analyze it, grow, and move on. I can get anxious and it may not last that long. Like, anxiety is something, especially as an empath, that a lot of us deal with, and it's like an ongoing daily thing. But I feel like where it used to cripple me and like I wouldn't be able to start anything. It's funny because depression makes you not want to do anything, and anxiety makes you freak out that you're not, and I had both. So it was two conflicting emotions. When I was depressed, I didn't want to do anything. When I was anxious, I was thinking about everything that I hadn't done and everything that I need to do, so I was freaking myself out. So my depression was literally causing my panic attacks. And my panic attacks were aiding into more depression. Imagine that spiral. And in 2020, so many people live like that. And I feel like how to change the world, in my opinion, is to give people the tools and inspire them to work on themselves. If everyone on this planet worked on themselves, grew themselves as a person, tried to enhance themselves as human beings, the entire world would change. Why? Because I can't grow for you. That's why in relationships, you need to work on yourself. And as you work on yourself, you inspire the person that you're with to work on them too, because you can't do the growth journey for them. You can't change someone else. Only they can do that. You can inspire them too. You can show them the way. You can give them the tools too, but you can't do it for them. And when it comes to human beings and the human race, like, I'm so tired. I am so tired of going online and seeing negativity every day. And I'm so tired of highlighting it. Yes, I am with my people. I am with people who are fighting for love and pointing out injustice. But like, I just want to spread love. I don't want to stand here and point out everything wrong with people anymore, because it affects my energy space. And like, when it comes to the power of now and being present, like, my life changed when I learned how to connect with the world and the earth. Like, sometimes I'll go outside, like bring my music, and I'll just be there and I'll be present. I'll be looking at the sky, I'll be feeling the birds. And now when you start feeling the birds, I'll be experiencing like nature. And now when you start getting attentive and you start being present, you start seeing signs. Like, here's the thing. God, the universe, angels, divine beings, your spirit guides have always been speaking to you. It's just that when you awaken and you become present and you become grounded and you become focused on the present moment and on the now, you are able to see how it communicates. Like, there are signs everywhere. There are signs in shows, there are signs in music, there are signs on billboards, there are signs in nature. There are literally signs in books. You just need to be able to digest it, because sometimes you need an answer for something that you know in your heart, and God and the universe and the angels, everything will answer you. But you just need to be open and receptive. Whenever you need answers, answers will come to you. Trust that, believe that, have faith in that, because that is the honest truth. It'll come to you. I literally had a whole list of things that I wanted to talk about, but we will touch on that in the next episodes. This was my first episode back, and obviously I went on a bit of a ramble, but I think it is a ramble that was necessary. Someone out there is going to resonate with this, someone out there is going to benefit from this, and that's the whole reason why I make these videos to begin with. I make them because, like I said, I was a round plug in trying to fit in square holes my entire life. I always felt like I just couldn't fit in fully. Like I just kept on trying to find a place and a group of people that like fit. And I think a lot of people feel like that. And when we start opening dialogues and we start speaking our stories, we create a community. Like I like to think of the people who resonate with me and that like are part of my family, my tribe, like my soul tribe. I'm just calling in my soul tribe and I'm serving them. And these are the tools that I personally use and that worked for me, because I just kept on trying to find a way out, like a way to get better, a way to feel better, a way to just heal. And I just kept on coming short so often that I have to put myself out there to give that same type of support to people. Like I genuinely want to be there for people in every way that I can. That's why I put myself in so many mediums like music and art and my YouTube, and very soon different type of visuals, and like you guys understand what I'm saying. We will touch on the rest in next week's episode. I will record it very soon. In fact, yeah, stream my new single, Why Wait. I don't think I shouted it out in this podcast yet, but yeah, I released a single on 11/11 to harness that energy. Why Wait is out. I started a brand on my birthday at Muse Aesthetic on Instagram. The first launch is going to be next week. Follow that. And like, guys, it's at Mudichats, MUDIE_CHATZ on Instagram and Twitter, and you'll find everything else on there. And with that, I will bid you adieu. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. It may have been a bit sporadic, but you know, with me, what else is new? Love, light, and good vibrations, tribe. I will catch you in the next one.